That was fucking
How
amazing,
was it?
dog.
And
I
were
went
you
from prison to private jets, dog.
Yeah. All right, for sure. Yo, today we got Yuli in the house in the Miami Hustle.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate your time.
Oh, man, it's
this
all love.
this right here is a Miami legend. For those that don't know, you should you should look up some history on this man, because aside from boxing, he's a true legend from Miami.
Thank you.
You know, I'm sure you could tell the people you were born and raised here, right?
Absolutely. Born and raised in Miami. And Miami through and through, man. All the way.
There you go. And just so everyone knows, as a pro boxer, he's 14-1 with
right.
13 knockouts.
Yes, sir.
MMA 2-1 with a knockout. BKFC 3-2 with 3 knockouts.
That's right.
And the fastest bare knuckle knockout in history.
That's right.
So you already know. Shout out
That's right.
Yuli.
Big old boy, dog. That's it.
Shout out Yuli, bro. So how's everything, bro? It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, man. Everything is amazing. I appreciate you having me on. You know, I've been watching what you guys are doing, and it's dope, man. I love to see, you know, young guys doing their thing and coming up, and that's what you guys are doing. So keep it moving, man.
Appreciate that,
Yes,
bro.
sir.
And speaking of just young people coming up, you grew in Miami, born and raised, and when you were young, tell me about how your like middle school, high school days were. Were you into sports or?
Man, I've always been into sports. I've always been a competitive kid. And man, the young days were great, man. When I was younger, it was great. You know, in middle school, I met some super amazing people and some super amazing friends that I still have to this day. It's been 30 years, and I still got these great friends by me. You know, in middle school and high school, I was into basketball. I played baseball, like I told you, as a young man. From 7 to 14, I played baseball. I grew up as a single child with my mom. That's all I grew up with my mom. So, you know, she put me in sports as like a daycare. You know, while she was working, sports were like kind of take care of me. And as I got older, you know, my friends were my family. So anything that my friends like to do, I like to do because I had nothing else to fall back on. I had nobody steering me in the right direction. I had no male role model. So my friends and my way of learning things was like my friends or their dads would teach me or something, you know. So I got into basketball in middle school. Followed that into high school. Um, I've always been into boxing. I've always loved the sport of boxing. I had some family members come over from Cuba that were amateur boxers. Got me into boxing as a young man.
Shout out Cuba.
Shout out to
Let
Cuba.
'em know, let 'em know.
Nothing
from
but
Cuba.
great boxers come from Cuba. You know, first generation Cuban American. You know, so that was big to me too. And then as I got older in my later teens, I got into like amateur boxing. But when I was already 19, 20 years old, I was a father. I already had my first kid. And doing amateur fighting doesn't pay no bills. Amateurs, you don't get no money. So, you know, I was trying to figure out ways to make money. And the only thing I knew how to do was the wrong thing. You know, I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have any male role models. I didn't have anybody steering me in the right direction.
Right.
And I never say this for a pity trip, because people are like, oh, you didn't have no dad. It's like, no, it's not like that. I grew up with a strong mom, a great mom, but she was busting her ass to keep a roof over my head and clothes on my back. So while she was working, I was getting away with everything, you know?
Mm-hmm. You didn't have the proper like guidance.
I didn't have no guidance. I didn't have no structure. You know, she tried to give that for me, but you could, you know, one woman could only do so much, you know, with a young man.
At that point, when you're out there just trying to figure it out on your own with no guidance, you kind of just live and learn.
I was living and learning, and what I had around me was, you know, was a bad element. You know what I mean? And not because people around me were bad. Is that's kind of what we're all 80s babies and early 90s babies. So what we knew how to do was kind of like just hustle. Mm-hmm. And the only hustle we knew was like the street. And, you know, bag up a little bit of this and do a little bit of that. And, you know, that's how I lived my life for a while. Fighting was always, like I said, a part of my life. Got me in trouble a lot as a kid. Got me kicked out of schools. I got expelled from schools. I got sent to opportunity schools. I was in juvenile detention centers. I went to prison as a young man for fighting. And, you know, finally at an older age, I got to finally turn that around, and I made fighting a profession. I get paid for it now. I get opportunities like this to be on podcasts with you. And I get paychecks from it. I got a nice house from it. My family's straight. Everybody eats from it now. So it's amazing how life gives you this crazy 180. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I'm sure you love to fight, right?
I
Like
love to fight.
it's in you.
I love to
Yeah.
fight, guys.
Yeah,
Hey,
you're a warrior, so
it
it's
is,
always
man.
beautiful to get paid off of what you love to do.
Exactly. They say if you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. That's how I feel now about training and fighting.
Tell
It's
me a
a
little bit about the Marines, because before we get into
yeah,
you going to prison, personally, I know your story, but for the ones that don't know,
yeah,
you were going through a lot of rough times,
yeah,
throughout your childhood. You
yeah,
had a kid early on. You were
yeah,
looking to make some money, provide for your
yeah.
family. So tell me about the decision to just pack all
Yeah.
your stuff
So
and go
I'll tell
away
you
for
about
the
that. So
military.
this is right before I actually had my daughter, which is my oldest child. I had gone. I was 18 years old, and a friend of mine I was growing up. He was going to the Coast Guard, and he had told me, "Man, you should come to the Coast Guard with me." I was running on the streets with gangs and shit. So he told me, get away from this. They gave us a $2,000 sign-on bonus, and then we'll get stationed together. Sound like a dream, and 2 grand back then was like, $1 million to me as an
Yeah.
18-year-old kid. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. You my boy, I got your back. Let's do it. So I signed up for the Coast Guard. I signed up for 4 years. Started getting my act together. I started getting a little structure. I was getting a paycheck from the military. Um, my daughter's mom at the time, she gets pregnant. So I'm like, okay, I'm headed in the right direction. And then how life would have it, and at the same time how I was handling myself at the time, which wasn't the right way. I was in a bar one night in Tallahassee, Florida, and the next day I had to be on a flight to Norfolk, Virginia, for diesel mechanic school. And from the bar, I never made it to the airport. I got in a fight at this place, and it turned into a long story, man, where I ended up in prison as a young man. And I went from the military to a prison cell. And it was crazy, man, to catch myself there, and try to figure out. I knew how I got myself there, but I always felt like, man, damn, I'm bigger than this. I know God's got a better plan for me, and I'm not a religious guy, but I'm very spiritual. I believe in God. I grew up with just, that's all I knew was God and praying to God. So I go, man, I know He got a better plan for me. I just didn't know what it was at the time, and it was hard to see because I had a lot of negative in my way. But I kept pushing, got out of prison. Started doing good for a while. I traveled. I tell people I went from prison to private jets because I came out of prison. I was working security for Pitbull. Went around the world with him. A month after out of prison, I was in Antwerp, Belgium. I was in South Korea. I was in Okinawa, Japan.
Shout
I was
out
in
Pitbull.
Milan, Italy. Shout out to Pitbull, man. He's a motivation and inspiration in my life still to this day.
I mean,
But
I've never met him, but I can say the same,
yeah,
and I'm sure many people
yeah,
listening can say the same
absolutely,
too. Pitbull is an
absolutely,
inspiration to all of us, especially the ones that
absolutely,
are born and raised in Miami and Cuban
absolutely,
American.
absolutely,
Again,
a
shout out
thousand
Pitbull,
percent,
man. That's
1,000%. What he's
that's
done with his
the
life
it's
is
like when no one has a role model, that's the person to look up to.
exactly,
And
exactly.
you're I mean,
Yeah.
bro, when you look at where you've come from, I feel the same about you. Like you
Thank you.
said, you go from prison, I mean, the military to prison to then
Yeah.
anything is possible. Now you're touring the world with Pitbull.
And like I told you, I got out. I had good things for me. I had good people waiting for me. They put me in a positive direction, but I still had shit for brains. I still had shit in my mind. I still felt like I had to prove things to myself and other people. You know what I mean? And I didn't have the right mentality at the time. So yeah, I was working with Pitt and trying to do right, but I was still trying to come up and scheme and figure out what I could do on the side to come up with some money. And eventually, a couple of years later, of working with Pitt, and we had a conversation because I've always been a straight up person. You know what I mean? Especially with my not only my friends, because he's not a friend to me. To me, he's a brother. He's family. So he's doing the right thing, trying to lead me in the right direction. I'm still doing this bullshit. So a couple of years down the line, I stepped to him. I'm like, yo, look, man, I appreciate the opportunity, but I got this going on, and he's like, no, man, I'm trying to keep you away from that. He's like, and I'm telling him, yeah, I understand, but, and I'm not seeing the bigger picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
still,
just pulling you back.
it's still pulling me. Yeah, the street's still pulling me back. It's crabs in a bucket. Nobody wants to see you succeed. They want to pull you back down. He's trying to pull me up.
Right.
I'm pulling myself back down. So, you know, I got myself away from working with Pitt. That was my own doing, my own wrongdoing. And you know what? Look, I got an easy way to put it because I go speak to kids all the time. I go career day and I go, you know, and it's a blessing to be able to do this nowadays. So I tell kids, look, you got two guys. You got Pitbull and you got me. Grew up together, hung out together every day. One guy kept going on a straight path. Of course, he had bumps and bruises along the way like we all do, but he kept that path going. Hey, you can't rap. Hey, you're Cuban. You're white. You got blue eyes.
Yeah.
Kept going, kept going. Me, I deviated.
Mm-hmm.
Hit walls, bump, beat, bob, prison, this, that, and the other. Until finally, when I was 35 years old, after many bumps, bruises, and many, you know, many difficulties in life, I found my way where at 35 years old, and this is something that I feel everybody needs in order to get their shit together, you got to be tired of your own shit, you know? And I got to the point where I was just tired of my own shit. And I just, you know, again, I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, man. And I talked to God, bro. And that day brought me to my knees, and I cried like a baby. And I said, God, I don't want this life no more, you know. And I was living in Colorado at the time. I was training, so it's a scary thing to like leave, drop everything you know, and just turn your life around. But I go, this is the only way I could do it. I changed my phone number. I stopped talking to people, you know, that was on this side of, you know, on this life. And I got to, I flew from Colorado to Miami. I got here, got the Fifth Street gym, started training. I didn't have the idea that I wanted to be a fighter yet. I just like, you know, I've always liked to work out.
What were you doing in Colorado? You weren't fighting over there?
No, I was part of they call it the Green Rush, where you
Okay.
grow weed.
Oh shit! Okay.
Yeah, you know, you had the Gold Rush in California back in the day.
Yeah.
In Colorado, it was the Green Rush.
Yeah. Okay.
So we had, you know, Colorado was coming up in the medical marijuana industry. So I moved from Miami over, started doing that.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you probably, while you were growing that, you probably didn't feel that love that fighting gets you. You know.
At all, you know. And and again, now I was bumping heads with myself. You know, I was going against the grain with myself, trying to do something that I knew wasn't right for me or anybody around me. But I kept pushing against it, kept pushing against going. It's, you know, we call it going against the grain. Until that day that brought me to my knees, and I was like, God, man, I'm telling you, I cried and all. And got back to Miami, started training. And the only reason I started training boxing is because I always loved it. It was one of my loves. And at that time, you know, I was doing weights. I've always been into the gym and working on being the healthy lifestyle, even when I was doing wrong. But so I started boxing. This is November 2016, November, December I'm boxing. Right before New Year's of 2017, I told my coach, I'm like, you know what, man? I think I'm ready for a fight. He said, yeah? All right, cool. Let's see if we get you a fight. Maybe like 4 days later, it came back. They go, excuse me. There's a fight in Dominican Republic. It's about next week. You know, you ready? I'm like, oh shit, reality check.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah, man, I'm ready. You know, and you know, I've been training, got ready, went to the Dominican Republic. I fought, and I won that fight in first round knockout. And I'll tell you that moment right there, when I won that fight, when I dropped that dude and he sat on his ass, and the referee waved it off, and people carried me, and I go, man, that was the biggest high I've ever had in my life. No drug, no woman, no money, no nothing could compare to that moment.
How old were you at that point?
At that point, I was 35 years old.
So just started, like, just so
No, it's all
everyone,
good.
anyone listening that's under 35 years old, just know that
It's never too late.
exactly, it's never too late, and just follow your passion. Because like he
Never.
just said, the best feeling that he experienced at the age of 35 was when he pursued what he loved to do,
That's
which
right.
was fighting, and he got that knockout.
That's
So
right.
shout out to you. And
Thank you. And again, still at this moment, I didn't know I was going to turn into a professional fighter and be where I'm at today. You know, 7, almost 8 years later. But I was like, man, this was amazing. I came back to Miami. People are proud of me. At that time, I hadn't been on Instagram for a year. I stayed off Instagram because I'm like, what am I doing? I'm running the streets. How am I going to be posting pictures of this what I'm doing. I can't.
Yo, thank you
I'm
for
telling the cops.
thank you for saying that though,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's some people out here that they
Yeah.
say they do shit, but then act reckless on the gram. Like
I'm
that makes
telling
no
you.
sense.
Yeah. So and the way I grew up, we weren't on our phones like that. Now it's a whole
Yeah.
different era. People are showing it off. But I got back on Instagram. I won my first fight. People that knew me down here were proud of me, and it was a moment that people were proud of me, and I was proud of myself, and people were pushing me in the right direction. Now people were like, "Man, yeah, man, I'm so proud of you. I don't know you could do this." I just stay consistent in the gym. I told you about that word consistency. It's huge to me, man. Consistency is everything. Stay consistent in the gym. The next month, a month later, I took another fight. A month after that, I took another fight.
Oh wow.
And then that's it. Now.
Sorry, just
No.
out of curiosity, like with those short notices, were you staying at your true weight or were you going up and down on?
No, I was staying at my true weight on those.
Okay.
I was staying at my true
You were
weight.
just staying ready for whatever.
Just staying ready. And again, I knew I was at an older age. At that time, I was 35, 36 years old. And I'm at an age where people are retiring from boxing.
Yeah,
You know
just
what I mean?
run it.
I'm boxing
Just-
against dudes who are like 18, 19, 20.
Yeah,
They've
yeah.
been boxing since they were 7. All I had was a little bit of skill because I've had it along the way as a kid. I've got a heart that don't fit on my chest, and I got a want, and my want was for myself to get away from that life that I was living. So as I'm doing this and I'm coming up boxing 4, 5, 6 my beginner fights, I'm still kind of on the street a little bit, right? Because I haven't let it go completely because I'm trying to figure out how am I going to pay bills. I'm not making any money boxing yet. Like, these beginner fights, anybody that begins fighting will tell you, like, you ain't really making no money at the beginning. And so I'm trying to figure it out. So I did that for a year. The whole first year, I was on the streets, but still keeping it consistent with the fighting.
Again, just out of curiosity, with fighters, for those that maybe want to be a fighter and don't know how it works, if you're trying to train and be a fighter, how is it that you have the time to have a job, pay the bills, and then also train as you're...
Man, you know
trying
what?
to be a
I
professional?
give nothing but the utmost respect and the utmost credit to the guys who have a day job.
Is that how it works, though? Do you have to have a job and still train, or once you're a professional fighter, you just get sponsorships?
So that's the way it works when you're coming up. You need a job and you need to box and figure out your time to be boxing.
Got you.
There's very, very few. I would say maybe 1% of people that start off making money boxing.
That's what I'm saying.
At the beginning, you're paying your way through. Meaning you're paying your flight to get there, you're paying your own hotel. No, the promoter's not paying. By the time you get paid from a promoter, that money's gone. Like you're like that money's like everything you just wasted. You needed to come back and eat and train again and everything. It's a cycle.
I asked that question just to have clarity out there for the ones listening, because I love having fighters on the show because I feel that they represent the hustle to its truest form, because fighting, not only is it not easy to come up and make it, but you have to be in the best physical shape of your life, and you have to try not to get your ass beat while beating somebody's ass.
Right.
So all that combined, on top of, the whole money situation, it's a fucking hustle and it's a grind.
It's a hustle and there's a ton of pressure on you too, man, and so like I said, it was like almost my first year, I was 50-50. I was riding a fence, right? I was half on the street, I was half in the gym. Stay consistent with gym, never give up. Now, I want to give a big shout out to Henry Rivalta. Anybody who's a fighter out there knows Henry Rivalta. He's one of the biggest promoters out here in Miami. I fought at the Hard Rock under him, maybe 10 fights in boxing. And the reason I give him a huge shout out, I tell my family, my friends this all the time. So now it gets to a point where I gave up the street. Now I'm 100% boxing. I'm 100% training. I wake up in the morning and I go to sleep at night. All I'm doing is training. No street, no nothing. As you come up, and when you're like a local guy and you're fighting local circuits, they make you sell tickets to make some money. So I go to Henry Rivalta's office the day we got to turn in the money for the tickets. It's probably like a couple days before the fight. You got to turn in your money, your tickets that are left over and stuff. And there's a bunch of fighters in his office. And Henry goes, "Hey, everybody shut up." He goes, "You see this guy right here?" And he's talking about me. Again, I'm a 30-something-year-old guy. These guys are in their 20s. He goes, "This guy can make one call right now. And, he's fighting for $5,000. He can make one call right now and make $5,000 on a phone call. But he's not. He's doing this shit for his family." And he doesn't know this. I've told him this before, but he doesn't know how impactful that speech that he gave those people was to me. I was like, he's fucking right. He's right. I could make a phone call and maybe not make $5,000, but I can make some money on a phone call. But I really, really badly want to get away from his life. And I feel like, you know, I've always been a man of my word, right? So if I tell you, hey, look, man, and especially to myself, more to myself than anything. So if I told myself, yo, I want to get away from this, and I go back to it, I feel like I let myself down. And now, like, anything is easy to do. Like, oh, fuck it, I gave up on that, I could give up on this. So by him saying that, it put my mentality and my effort to do this fighting shit on another fucking level. And man, it just, for me, it exploded for me in my head, and I just doing my thing and doing my thing. Got an opportunity in bare knuckle. Took that. I won my first fight by knockout. My second fight was in Miami, and this is the thing about life. You never know when your opportunity comes. That's why I was telling you. You never know what guest is going to lead you in the right direction. You never know what guest is going to get you those million views. You never know what day is your day. My second fight in bare knuckle, they gave me this opponent. I know I'm looking at his fights. I'm studying him. I see what he does. I see his bad manners, in the fight game. His bad habits. I'm like, all right. And I go in with my game plan. I have videos of this. I pre-planned this. I'm like, this is what this guy does, what I'm going to do. And I came in and I rushed him. And I fucking made history. And they say 3 seconds. It's less than that if you watch the fight. It's like 1.5 seconds.
That's what I was going to say. I thought it was one.
But I made history in that one punch. My name rang bells around the world. Still does to this day with that one knockout. I got the knockout. The very next day, I was getting calls from France, Russia, just doing interviews all around the world. I traveled to and it's just amazing where fighting got me, and I could never see myself. I got myself to a position where I never see myself being the old me ever again. Not running the streets, not still to this day. And I know hopefully there's people watching this and they know I love you, but I might not answer the phone call because I know you still might be bullshitting. I got no time to bullshit no more. My kids are so proud of me. My family's so proud of me. My mom, which I put my mom through hell with all the shit that I've done, is so proud of me that I could never, you know what I mean? I got a beautiful wife. I got an amazing life that I could never turn it around. And now I am this fighter and this is what I do and I love it. And now look, I'm 42 years old. It's been 7 years, almost 8 years that I've been fighting professionally. And it's been an amazing ride, man. Nothing but positive.
That is
moments.
amazing. Yeah. And I like what you said about how when you got the fastest knockout and you made history, you were studying your opponent. I think that's key, and I think that's very important. And that's also what Masvidal said on one of his interviews when he got one of the fastest knockouts. When he ran in and he kneed the guy,
aspirin right on the neck.
right on the neck.
Yeah,
he said that he studied him too. So again, for all those fighters listening and anybody listening, it's important to. What happens behind closed doors, when you were studying behind closed doors, it gets shown in the light.
That's the most important thing on anything, whether you're a fighter, whether you're doing podcasting, anything. What you do behind the scenes to get you ready for these moments is what counts the most. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And and to circle back, and because life's a big circle, to circle back, me and Pitt are the brothers. You know what I mean? And like I said, I stopped working for him for that time, and I had cut ways just out of respect for him because he was doing his thing legit, fucking climbing, to the moon, and I was bullshitting, so I had to get away from him. I couldn't hold him down. But when I circle back and I'm doing the right thing, now we're riding that same path together. It's amazing to be by his side and have many great opportunities. I filmed a Super Bowl commercial with him. In 2020, I was on a Super Bowl commercial with him. J-Lo, I threw a football and hit DJ Khaled in the back of the head.
Yeah, that really is full circle, man. That's
full
beautiful.
Circle. And just the opportunities that I've gotten from fighting have been, man, amazing, dog. Amazing. Nothing that the street could have gave me, and not for one day,
I respect you as a man for doing what you did and parting ways with Pitbull because, again, shout out to Pitbull for what he did for you because you had just gotten out of prison, so you needed that guidance out of prison because a lot of times when people get out of prison, they don't know what to do, and sometimes they end up back there. So shout out to Pitbull, but then shout out to you for being a man and being like, look, you took me this far for these 2 years that I've been touring with you, but I need to make a road for myself, and you did. Like you said, now because you going into the fighting road and you made a name for yourself in the fighting scene, you're able to come back to Pitbull and it's still all love. And now
it's all love, but now I'm legit. He's proud of me.
Yeah.
I'm doing something right where he could now I'm in conversations where you could talk about me. Because before, he always loved me. There was never no love lost. He's always been my brother. Even when I was doing my thing, we still talk. Oh, you good? You good? Always, always. Never. There was never a break in between our brotherhood.
But
But now, before he couldn't talk about me. Now he's like, man, that's my brother. Look what he's doing. Now, and he was running a podcast called Negative to Positive. I was a guest on there, and it was just amazing to be part of that and for him to be able to highlight me. You know what I mean? It was just a great moment in life.
yeah, no, 100%. And I love what you said about like, well, first of all, before we get into that, tell me about Don't Blink podcast, because I
Okay.
know before you went on his podcast, you had started your own
Yeah,
podcast,
yeah,
and we're obviously on a podcast. So
Right.
again, shout out to you, shout out to everything that
Thank you.
you've been doing,
Thank you.
and not just a fighter, but really truly inspiring everybody out here.
Thank you, man. So Don't Blink podcast, man. That was my baby. We started that. Don't Blink came from. I used to say in my press conferences, when I was out there, hey, my fight's so fast, hey, don't blink. Then I had the 3 second knockout.
Oh, my bad. You were saying that before the 3 second knockout.
Before the 3 second knockout, I used to say, don't blink,
that's
don't blink.
wild.
My fights are fast.
I thought it was Don't Blink because of the
No,
3 second
no.
knockout.
So that happened. So I said, don't blink. Then I got the don't blink knockout, and we go. I wanted to capitalize on on that moment, So one of the ways that I tried to capitalize, or that I figured to capitalize on it, was making a podcast. Excuse me. So my face would be seen more consistently, and I teamed up to shout out with my boy Too Nice, and my boy Mikey. We got together. We put a little crew together, and we filmed consistently for 2 years. Don't Blink was amazing. We had great shows. We had great guests, and our team, we're still fam. We just never got it off the ground as a business. But it was no love lost, no nothing. We learned off it. Everybody went their way and they're doing their thing. And I got the opportunity now to host Negative to Positive, where I was a guest on with Pitt. Now Pitt put me in a position to be able to host it.
That's
so we're
beautiful.
putting those in the can right now. I'm working on those. That's it's a little top secret, but we letting it out here in the Miami Hustle.
Hey, I appreciate
No
that.
problem,
And the
brother.
reason why I wanted to bring up Don't Blink is because obviously that's a hustle within itself. So I wanted you to know, shout out Don't Blink, shout out the
Thank
team that was a part of it, because it's a hustle within itself.
It is.
And then also, like you mentioned, you did it for 2 years. So
Yeah.
one thing I want to point out is that, again, nothing in life is just given to you. It's not just handed. Just because he became a name for himself, and in the fighting world now, he's going to be a guest
Star,
speaker.
right.
Yeah, a star, exactly. That's not how it works. He put in his 2 years podcasting with his own team, doing it by himself. And I'm sure that helped you build who you are when it comes to speaking and motivating. And then that's what led you into now. Say that again. You're going to be doing a podcast with Pitbull, and it's called Negative to Positive,
so
right?
it was Pitbull was the host of it. It was called Negative to Positive. Obviously, everybody knows Pitbull's a busy guy.
So I'm sure with Don't Blink, once you got into that Negative to Positive, you felt right at home, right?
Very right at home. And the thing about me too is, like, having conversations with people has always been a strong suit of mine. I'm a curious guy by nature. So like, if we're able to talk, what's funny is when I first started giving conversations and podcasts, and when I started doing this when I first started boxing, and people started interviewing me, it was hard for me to talk because I came from the streets, where the streets, everything's like, hey, so like, I felt like I was snitching on myself, and then, I got myself in a comfortable headspace where I'm like, dog, you're not there no more. You could talk about your past, because that was the scary part, like talking about my past and things reemerging and shit. But there's nothing to reemerge, I went through what I went through. It made me the person and the man I am today, and I'm able to, pay that forward and speak to kids. Because for example, when I go somewhere, right, a career day, for example, and this is not to knock firefighters and cops or anything, because nothing but the utmost respect for firefighters, cops, doctors, anything. And not even firefighters, cops. Let's say doctors or a lawyer or something like that. You come in, you got a guy with a suit and tie. Then you got a guy like me with gold teeth, tattoos all everywhere, who's been through what these kids think they want to go through. Oh, I think I want to be cool. I think I want to be in a gang. I think I want to fight. I think I want to do this. And I'm going to tell him, this guy can't tell him that, because he ain't been there. He went through school, he went through all thing, and that's not to knock him. That's, God bless you. You did the right thing, the right direction. You had the right people that steered you in the right direction. I didn't. I went through every bump, bruise, and everything. So I could tell you, trust me, you don't want to be there. And it's not because you're not man enough to do it. No, no, no. Because that's for dummies. And
Yeah.
even people, even my boys that I still talk to this day that are still in prison. I got a great friend of mine still to this day. He's been in prison 40 years. He's been in prison since the 80s. When I was born, that nigga was in prison. Still there now. Hey, that place is for dummies, dog. That's where you fuck up at, and that's where you're supposed to learn at. And whatever you learn, hopefully you come out and use it in the right direction. So, I'm that personality to the kids that, hey, look, what do you want to, talk about gangs, drugs? You want drug selling? What do you want to talk about? Because I've been there, I've done that. I could tell you that there ain't nothing there. There's prison and there's death. That's it. Now, you do something wrong with your life, bro, there's nothing but good times. There's money. There's chicks. What is it? What's your advice, dog? Because you're going to have it and you're going to have a great time with it.
Yeah.
But just follow that right path, and at the end of the day, stay consistent on the right way.
100%. And that's what the Miami Hustle is about. Yeah. So I'm glad that you brought that up because it's to inspire anyone that's listening, whether they're, our age, younger or older. Yeah. It doesn't matter because if you're not in the right path of life, as long as you're trying to get there, that's what matters. And what I will say about the streets, like you, I'm not one to talk about it on camera. I know there's 3 cameras watching this right now. So I'm not going to say too much, But what I will say is that, and this is what I usually always say to people, it's dangerously easy. Right. Like, you don't want to get involved in that life because the money will be there. And yeah, it is easy money, but you know what happens with easy money. It comes and goes very easily. Right. And then it gets to a point where you can flip something and make something, but now you can do that twice and make more. And then it becomes so easy that the more you make, the more dangerous it becomes.
The thing is, before you even get there, you when you flip it once, when you go to flip it the second time, who's not to say that the dude right here, hey, let me get that, dog.
That's what I'm saying.
And there goes your second and third and fourth time. And if somebody goes, bang, they pull that trigger, there goes every other time after that. You feel me? I'm giving you guys what helped me. I'm not giving you anything that I think will help or anything. I'm telling you what I did. I had to cut people off. Friends, I love them. You know what I mean? Hey, you gotta seclude yourself. You can't try to do good and then go back and try to go out with the homeboys and shit because you're gonna fall into the same shit. You gotta get yourself away, and everybody's got a different amount of time. Like me, it took me probably 6 months of not answering phone calls, like totally secluding myself, like going to the gym and coming home, and that's it, And that's what helped me was really seclusion, reading books, staying up on myself, keeping myself healthy, where you get to a certain point where now they're like, hey, you want to go out? Let's go to a club. And you're like, nah, I'm good already. You already worked yourself out of that little, that thing that could have drugged you back down,
I feel like if you're happy in the inside, you don't need to go find it somewhere else like the club, like the liquor, the drugs and all that.
Exactly.
You mentioned reading and then you also mentioned God. So I'm the same as you. Like, I wouldn't say I'm the most religious person, but I'm very spiritual. And I've always been that way. And just like you, I talk to God, I pray to God, and I feel like He is the one that guides me. And I've had my moments too where I've just been like, I don't know what you want me to do and I don't know what to do, but if you guide me in the right direction, like my intentions are pure and I feel like that's what matters. So with that faith, I feel like, He will take you in the right path. So
absolutely.
How was it for you? Like how young were you when you discovered like God as your savior and like being there for you?
So God always been in my life.
How's that relationship been?
God's always been in my life, man. I can say that for sure because once you get a clear head, and once you start doing the right thing and kind of thinking back and being grateful and thankful for all the situations in life in itself, you look back and be like, damn, man, God done saved me before I was even thanking Him, Yeah. And I always tell people, I got this saying, I'm still here today because of my mom's prayers and because of God. My mom's been praying, and like I said, I was a headache of a son for a long time. You know what I mean? And now I give my mom nothing but smiles, bro. And that's bigger than any paycheck I could ever get. But I've always known God was there in a weird way because even when I was doing wrong, I felt it. I felt it. I felt it. Even if I were to get in a fight in the street, you know what I mean, and I heard somebody knock somebody out in the street or something, like back in the day, a street fight. I was never. Maybe I wasn't starting to fight. I was never a bully. If somebody was a bully, I like picking on bullies. Like that's something that I would never stand for. But even if I were to hurt somebody, even if it was a bully or a guy who deserved it, and I hit him, I knock him out, I always had remorse. So I'd go by, I knocked that motherfucker out, I go back, and then I'd be at home like, damn, man, kind of feel bad for that dude. You know what I mean? Like so, and I know that was God playing it, and be like, bro, you're better than that. I know he wants to make me a healer, and it's funny to say that because still to this day I'm fighting. I'm still to this day I'm hurting people. But
Hey,
if anybody
you're hurting
sees,
people in the ring, so they're
I'm
gonna
hurting
get
people,
hurt
yeah,
regardless.
and they're coming to hurt me too. We're
Yeah,
doing a
yeah,
job,
yeah.
and but if anybody watches my videos, after win, lose or draw, I pray with my opponent. I give thanks to my opponent. I'm humble. You never see me talk shit to my opponents, and not because I can't, because I can talk shit with the best of them. I just feel like where I come from, and the the street life that I was used to. There was never no talking shit. The real dudes don't talk shit. We show up at your front door and it's on, it's on and popping.
Right. Yeah.
So like, the shit talking, and again, another big thing too is at the end of the day we're gonna be in the ring fighting in front of thousands of people. So anything you say, it don't matter what you say. You ain't
Yeah.
making me bleed. No, none of those words making me
100%.
bleed. These is what it comes down to. So that's what I'm about nowadays. Like, I ain't gotta talk to you. I'm gonna prove myself in there.
That's what's up.
And and I think that's my character now, man. I left all the street shit behind, all the shit talking. I try to carry myself as a as a classy man, as a classy fighter, as a father, so my son could look up to me and be like, "Oh, Dad, he was talking shit." Don't matter, son. Don't We're gonna handle that in the ring. And then once I handle that, come back and say, "Son, did that shit talking do anything to him?"
Exactly.
No, Daddy, you're right. He said all types of shit, didn't do nothing for him. You know what I mean?
That's what's
And
up.
that's how I teach my son. That's how I want to teach my son to come up and be a stand up man.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to ask you about books because I feel that, well, at least in my life,
You can see I got a lot. I got that whole wall right there full of books.
That's what's up. That's good. I'm the same way. I love books, and books kind of changed my life towards the most positive way possible when it comes to like my subconscious and understanding like life really. Because books, when it comes to school, is one thing, but books when it comes to life, like wisdom books, is something that you can't find anywhere else.
Right.
So shout out to you for reading, and I just want to know like what got you into reading and
Okay.
what type of books do you like to read?
That's a great question. I've always been into motivational shit, dog. Right? Tony Robbins, Les Brown, anybody motivational. Those little 15-second clips on Instagram that are motivational. I've always been into. I'm a dude who like that shit inspires me. It moves me.
Yeah.
I might feel like shit. I hear something like, man, you know what? Let me get my ass up and go run 2 miles. I've always been like that. I'm a guy who's always worked good off tough love. I'm a guy that, don't be a bitch, man. Do me get 10 more. No problem. That shit inspires me. Do 10 more. Now, like sometimes I give tough love to people and it doesn't work. Like, sometimes with my kid, I won't call him no bitch, but I'm, hey, come on, man, 10 more. Oh, come on, Dad. Some people don't work for. For me, it works. You know what I mean? So that's all. I've always been into motivational shit. I've always been into like boot camp when I was in boot camp, and get on your ass about shit. I like it. I like it.
So that makes sense. So when you read, it's like the voice in your head is motivating you.
Motivating
like, so
me. I see myself. I put myself as that character.
Exactly. Yeah.
Boxing, for example. Whenever I go box, I train by myself here and there. But if I want to get pushed, I need somebody. I need a trainer to push me. And that's always helped me. So that's what books do for me. I read motivational books. I read inspirational books. I love autobiographies of people who came from nothing and made something. You know what I mean? I love shit like that. I've seen it before my eyes. I've been with Pitt. We lived together. We've had hard times together, dog. Shared 29-cent cheeseburgers at McDonald's, and bro, to see where he's at now, that's all motivation. And it's all around me. I can see it. I can smell it. I can taste it, dog. It's right there. So why can't we be there?
Exactly.
The only thing stopping you from being there is yourself. You know what I mean? So that's always how I felt. Like that's another thing. I've never been like a self-pity type of dude. Like, oh, poor me, or feel bad for me. I ain't have no dad. Nah, that ain't me, bro. Push through. Now, I let people know, no, I didn't have no male role model. You know what I mean? And the only reason I do that is for inspiration and motivation. Like, look, I didn't have it, dog. No, it took me a long time to get where I was at, 35 years old. But that's why I push it, because maybe somebody, I don't try to change everybody, but maybe there's one person out there hearing that can be like, you know what? I'm going to use what he's saying, dog. That's just, let me get my ass up off of the couch, you know what I mean? Like a Goggins type dude, you know what I mean? I love Goggins. Sure. And so, my reading material comes all from inspiration. Now, 99% of my reading material is all like real life shit. It's
Same.
I don't have no
Yeah,
Harry Potter shit.
exactly. You look at my library and like I don't really like I don't even know what it's called. I think it's fictional, the fake stuff.
Right,
The fake
right.
stuff, I feel like I'm wasting my time. For that,
Yeah.
I watch a movie. I like
Right,
movies
right,
if
right,
I'm
right.
just
I'm
trying to
huge on
chill.
movies. I
Yeah,
love all that
but
shit in
books,
movies.
bro.
Yeah.
If I'm in a book, bro, like it's all motivation
Me
and
too.
it's all like
Me too.
biographies like you, like people that made it. I would recommend Shoe Dog if you haven't read
Shoe
it.
Dog's great. The Nike one, I got it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, by
yeah, yeah.
Phil
I had
Knight.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
I had that.
but
And you know what's funny? Like, so now I boxing. I run a lot, and I found therapy in running. And I love so now I got audibles. So now I get books and audibles,
right.
and I'm running for 2 hours just listening to books. You know what I mean?
That's huge because it trains your subconscious mind. So
It
even if
does.
your mind runs off and you're listening to rap music, a lot of times your subconscious mind can be on that negative shit.
I only listen to
So
books and podcasts when I'm running, and even when if
fire.
excuse me, even if I'm training by myself, like just hitting the bag. And the reason I do that is because I love music. I'm a big music guy too. But let's say you put like a Pandora on, right? And it gives you random music, and then you're like, oh my god, I love this song, bah, bah, bah. And then the next one's like a slow jam. You're like, just killed my vibe.
Yeah, yeah,
A book is
100%.
like it's consistent. It's
Bro,
consistent.
it gets you to if you're gonna read for 30 minutes, it gets you to want to read 45.
Right,
And then
right,
you're
right,
looking forward
right.
to the next time you read because you want to know
You
what
know what I
happened.
do too? I'll buy the book hardcover because I like to have it, and I'll buy the Audible. So
Yeah.
sometimes I'll like if I'm eating, I'll sit there and listen to the Audible while I'm reading the book.
Yeah,
Or
I
if
always
not,
like to have the hardcover as like a trophy,
Me
like
too.
a collection.
I do
And I
too.
love to
I
highlight.
do
So what
too.
I'll do is like I read a chapter and
I
I'll
do the
highlight
same
the
thing.
important stuff
I
so
do the
that
same thing.
maybe next year if I want to go back, I don't have to read the whole book, but I'll
I do the
skim
same.
through
Even on
highlights.
Audible, you can highlight things. I do it there
Oh,
too.
okay,
Yeah.
cool. And then I like to ask fighters that I have on, like, what do you think about Jake Paul and what he's doing with the sport?
I love what Jake Paul's doing with the sport, man. Jake Paul he's taking it to another level. You know, he's absolutely taking it to another level. Uh, and I'm gonna tell you something about Jake Paul. In 2019, I was part of Logan Paul's fight camp. I was a sparring partner for when he fought KSI. They flew me out to California. They put me up in a dope ass Airbnb. I was at their house every day training with Logan. I was Logan's sparring partner. Shannon Briggs was his coach. Shout out to Shannon the Cannon. And obviously I had interactions with Jake. Jake was there too. And back then we sparred once, and I got the best of him. 2019, I got the best of him. And but they were training their ass off, without a reason to, because these guys are multi-millionaires
That's
from
why,
other things.
yeah, that's why I respect
So
Jake.
I definitely respect them because of that too. But they were busting their ass. So back then I got the best of them. Now, fast forward a few years, Jake's doing his thing. Me and BJ Flores was Jake Paul's trainer at the time. We speak every, I would say friends. So I saw Jake was training in Miami. So this is probably, I want to say 2 years ago. So I hit up BJ, yo, let me get some rounds with Jake. He's like, all right, come in. So I meet him down here at the gym in Miami, and we get in there. We got 6 rounds of sparring, and let me tell you something, man. Jake Paul got way better from 2019 to that time I sparred him. Got way better. Now, I didn't drop him. He didn't drop me, but he did do a million times better than he did that first time. Way better. So shout out to him, man. He's busting his ass. He's getting better. He respects the sport. He's at a level where he can call out these huge names, and he's getting these big fights because he's built himself up, on a different platform, but to where he's at. So he's using his name, and he's using his platform, and he's using his pool to do what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's doing amazing things, man. So shout out to him.
Yeah,
I think
shout
he's
out,
done
shout out to
things.
Jake Paul. Two things I'll say about Jake Paul is the first thing is consistency. That word
Absolutely.
that you spoke on a lot off camera and on camera is consistency.
Yep.
And like you said, he got a lot better within those 2 years, and
Absolutely.
everyone sees it. He posts a lot, and he's always training. So that consistency is gonna get you to that level. And now,
Absolutely.
shout out to Jake Paul again, because the other thing I will say is that within that consistency and the fights that he's done, he's building his resume to now go into the pro boxing, I guess, like the real sport of it,
Right.
not the YouTube boxing.
Right.
But because this is something that he said on a recent interview. He said that now that he's shown that he could fight, he's going to take the route of being an amateur to then trying to be a pro to then getting that belt for real as a pro, which I respect. Like, how could you
I
not?
totally respect that. And to me, I mean, in my opinion, I would consider Jake a real fighter already. Man, he's fought, a ton of UFC veterans, Now, when it comes to fighting, uh, it's all about the art of matchmaking. You know what I mean? And all the fighters out there watching will know what I'm talking about. It's called the art of matchmaking. You wanna, you got Jake Paul. He wants to match himself up with somebody that's tough, that looks the part, and they go play the part. But they're on the back end of their career. You know what I mean? And he's done everything amazing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's played
Like I
the
said,
game.
I feel like he's built his resume,
Yeah.
and now he's headed towards he wants that belt with a real fighter. And I say real fighter because, like you said, he is a real fighter, but a lot of people don't consider him a real
Right,
fighter because of
right,
the whole YouTube
right.
shit. So now, like I said, it all takes time, bro, and time really reveals who's been working
And
hard.
he's been putting in the time. Yeah.
So
But
100%.
I'll tell you one thing though, the buck will stop when he sees Canelo. Boy. I know he's been calling out Canelo, and I mean again a power move on his side. A power move on his. But Canelo's the real deal, Holyfield.
100%. Yeah, no, that's a whole nother level. I mean,
Yeah.
but even if that happens, respect to him again.
Super
because
respect.
for you
Super.
to
A
fight
dream
someone
come
like
true.
that. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, look, Canelo, I couldn't stand in his shoes in a boxing ring either, but I would love the opportunity to.
Right.
You know what I mean? I would love it.
Legendary.
Legendary.
That's what's up, man.
Absolutely.
So then we're coming up on time, but I want to ask you about what's next. You know, tell us about the next fight. What you
Next
got
fight,
going
man.
on.
So this is no contract signed yet. You know what I mean?
Pending?
But I'm looking at December 16th. It's gonna be an exhibition fight, boxing in Tampa, Florida, with gloves. I know my opponent already, and I know him well. He's a great friend of mine from here, from Miami. You know, but I'm not gonna give none of that away yet until the contract's signed. And once all that is done, we'll do a little something and to sell the fight. You know what I mean? I'm just waiting on them to send me the paperwork. But December 16th is what we got in line next as of right now.
That's what's up, bro.
And this weekend I just did ADCC Orlando, which is the biggest jiu-jitsu competition in Orlando. I mean, biggest jiu-jitsu competition in the world. They had it in Orlando. I just competed on it. I haven't trained jiu-jitsu. Last time I competed in jiu-jitsu was 3 years ago. I did 2 open mats for anybody that knows jiu-jitsu. Open mat is when you show up to the gym and it's just you get to roll with anybody. It's not like a class, you know. You just get to roll around with anybody. I did 2 of those. Went up there and competed in the biggest tournament.
That's crazy.
I was in two divisions. I lost one division. Got skunked out of there. And then my second division, I won the silver in the masters. In the masters, I won the silver. So
you never know.
No, man, it was a great experience. The guy I lost to was a class act, a great dude. You know what I mean? So, shout out to him, man. John Venturi, he got the gold, and man, I just love to compete. Again, I'm 42 years old. You know, I'm trying to leave a legacy. You know, I would love to leave a legacy that people be talking around the world, but at least in Miami, in my home city, they could say, you know, damn, this guy did it for his city. This guy put his city on his back. He carried it around, and he represented to the fullest from in a positive way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I just got two more questions for you.
No problem, bro.
So I want to know, like, I mean, I can't even wrap my head around it, but coming out of prison and then touring with Pitbull, how was that like for those 2 years?
That was fucking amazing.
We kind of just skipped through it, but I want to know those 2 years, like.
That was fucking
how
amazing,
was it,
dog.
and
I went from prison to private jets, dog.
Yeah.
I fucking I got out of prison on a Friday. Pig calls me. He tells me, "Hey man, I'm out of town. I get home Monday." This is May 6, 2006, by the way. So this is what is that? Fucking almost 17 years ago.
Yeah.
He picks me up on Monday. He takes me shopping. You know, I had fucking clothes from 2 years ago. So he takes me. I didn't even know what was up to date. Takes me shopping, gets me fresh. Tells me, hey, you know, just got home May 6th. He goes, in June, you start working with me. So he gave me a month off. I got to chill my family, my kids. June, dog, I was on a fucking plane to Antwerp, Belgium, South Korea, Okinawa, Japan, all over the United States.
You hadn't traveled like that before, right?
Not like that, not international like that. No, never, man.
It's
never,
amazing.
never.
How was that? How was that like lifestyle though? Like the
fucking amazing,
nightlife.
dog. I'm on a 14-hour flight to Korea with Pitt sitting right here next to me. You know, we're watching this shit. My mind is blown because I'm a dude who, you know, I've been saying this since I was a kid. I'm a dude when I find myself in this situation. When I got the 3-second knockout, when I win a fight, it didn't even have to be that. When I win a fight, and I'm there and my hands raised and everybody's there, I float out of my body and I'm looking down at myself and I'm saying, it's so incredible to me. It's mind blowing to me, dog, that I'm here with all this shit that I've been through and not only me, bro. It's not we all been through shit in our lives. You know what I mean? It's just I can only speak for myself. So I float out of my body and I see myself going on. I'm like, yo, dog, this is amazing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So those are one of those moments. I had the moment back then where I float out of my body and I see me and my fucking brother, dog, going around the world. I'm on stage. I was security, so I'll be on the corner of a stage and he's on there doing his thing, and people are screaming, throwing panties and bras on the stage. You know what I mean? And bro, it's amazing, dog. There's no words for it, dog. You know what I mean? If I sound dumb trying to even explain it. It's just mind blowing, amazing. Wrap my head around your best friend in the whole entire world, or you know what I mean? It's just doing its thing.
It's like it's really out of a movie.
Out of a movie.
Let me just ask a couple questions from because we love our fans, so people want to know. People want to know. All right, so I got one. It's from Nelson Rodriguez. Shout out Nelson Rodriguez, Montana Method Podcast. He said, training day with Mr. Red was fire.
Ah, that's awesome. Yeah.
Hey, shout out Mr. Red, too.
Big shout out Mr. Red,
Big shout out Mr. Red.
I'm working close with him now. We're doing a lot of community work. Mr. Red and Friends, go look that up. We're doing a lot of good stuff
definitely.
for the community.
I would love to have him on. So, and also Nelson. So his question is, down to do a Cuban version of Friday.
Man, Nelson might be in our mind, man. We getting something together, Nelson. That's a great one. Yeah, we
put
a
classic.
Couple. Me, Red, and the teams are working on a couple parodies. We're thinking about a couple movies, a couple things. Training Day was actually our first one because that car that you see in the thing we did is my old school car. So they go, I would love to, nice. Red's a creative genius, So we came up with that one, and believe it or not, man, we filmed that little thing in like 15, 20 minutes. The guy's a genius.
No, that's for sure. I think a Cuban Friday would be hilarious because in Miami, there's a lot of Cubans in Miami.
Absolutely, and shout out to Nelson for that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, shout out Nelson, Montana Method Podcast. You already know. But Friday is a classic, and then the Cubans out here in Miami. So
we'll get a good one out here.
Mercy67.
That's my mom.
Says, she said, how come he is so cute?
Thanks to you, mama.
Yeah, exactly. So shout out to mom. And then I got one more. Let me see. My boy Raymond Gonzalez. He said, "Yo, tell Yuli that a man named Cassin send him a shout.
That's my brother.
Cassin, send him a shout out that he's proud of everything he's accomplished."
Wow, dog. Hey, Cassin, listen, man. Cassin is another one. Cassin is an OG, triple OG from Miami, old school cat from back in the day from the neighborhood, man. He's from Wynwood, old school. And shout out to Cassin, man. Cassin's been a real motivation, inspiration in my life. He's led me in the right way. He's had his hand in there in keeping me on the right path. Shout out to Cassin. I love you, my brother.
He says, sigue pa'lante. That's what Cassin says. So shout out to Cassin, sigue pa'lante. Shout out Raymond Gonzalez. You already know it's my boy.
Raymond, tell Cassin I love him, man.
Yes, sir. So with that, I got one more question for you, and then until next time, bro, because you're an amazing guest, and we love to have you on. We're going to keep following you. Everybody that isn't following him, you better follow him, because amazing things are going to keep coming out of you for this city, for your life, and for anyone around you.
100%. Stay tuned. There's a lot of things, and don't blink.
You already know. And the question is that I like to ask everybody before we wrap it up is, what does Miami mean to you?
Miami means everything to me. Miami is my birth city. MIAMI, money is a major issue. Man, you know what? A great friend of mine told me one time, imagine having a map of the world on the wall, right? You stand about 5 feet away, they blindfold you, they give you a dart, and you throw it. And wherever that dart lands is where you're born and raised at right there. And I happen to be born and raised in Miami, Florida. And I'm Cuban by blood. And man, it's amazing. It's amazing. And not to knock anybody from anywhere out there, whether you're from Wyoming or Oregon or anywhere, dog, you love your city, God bless you, and that's what you're supposed to do. I love mine. I'm straight 10 toes down from here. I've done it all, and everybody knows me from the good and the bad here. And I've been blessed to turn it around and do nothing but good and be able to help my city and feed homeless and talk to kids and be able to be on this Miami Hustle podcast and be able to spread the word to keep pushing and stay consistent. You know what I mean? Because that's my word now. And so Miami means everything to me, man. Miami is my you know, a mom, a grandma, a father, an uncle, and everything, dog. And they're the
Yes,
good
sir.
side and they're the bad side.
Of course.
You just got to know how to handle Miami.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
No, 100%. So I just got to ask one more question because I forgot, but there's another big supporter on. Shout out to the fans again.
Sure.
And he's also a fighter. So I want to make sure I get this
Okay.
question in. His name is Nibaldo 100K Gabriales.
Okay.
So he says, how is it like for you to come up in such a busy industry as a Latin person? For us Cubans, it's rough.
In the fight world, man, it was like anything else, dog. Again, and people are like, yo, I'm sick of this dude saying the same shit, but I stay consistent, dog. I stayed in the gym every day. I didn't have a management team at the beginning of my career. I didn't find a necessity one. Why am I going to pay people a certain percentage when I'm not even making anything yet, right? So, stay consistent in your training. And then if you're in a boxing gym or if you're in any type of fight gym and you're a fighter and you want to fight, there's promoters coming in and out of your gym all the time to find out who's a ticket seller, find out who's doing this, make some noise on Instagram. You know what I mean? If you got to call somebody out, call somebody out. I've been called out by a couple people here on Instagram, but guess what happens when you call me out? I show up at your gym, dog.
Oh, shit.
We're going to have to throw hands, and you know what I mean? But make some noise in some way, man, and get your name out there. But the most important, again, is stay consistent with your training, and when your opportunity comes, be ready. Don't try to get ready. You got to stay ready when it comes to this fight game, because the world we live in with this instant gratification, they forget about you in the blink of an eye. As soon as they swipe up, you're forgotten about. So, do something that people's gonna, you're gonna ring bells with people's memories, man. And one thing that I do is, I do what I tell you I'm gonna do. So people love that. If you're a man of your word, people are gonna do that. You know what I mean? When it comes to fights, I show up and show out every time, and I do. I do good things for my city, man. I do anything anybody needs a helping hand with. I got both hands out, and I'm ready to get dirty at any time. So I think that carries yourself a long way. If you're in it just for money, you're gonna have a rough time. If you're just trying to make money off fighting, you're gonna have a rough time. If you enjoy what you're doing, you love what you're doing, you ain't working, everything's gonna come to you. So just again, I know you hate the word by now, but stay fucking consistent. I'm gonna get a shirt that says it. I love consistency.
Drill that shit in your brain. You already know.
That's it.
And the Miami hustle is all about consistency. So, Yuli, again, thank you for your time, bro.
Man, nothing but love. Miami Hustle, y'all check them out. Young dudes on the grind, on the hustle, getting it how they live.
Every day, you already know.
That's what I do. I get it how I live.
I'm getting it how I live for real.
That's it. That's it.
I said I'm gonna set this up, put some cameras on the mics, and I'm gonna get it how I live. So Miami Hustle, here we are.
That's it.
Until next time, bro. The hustle continues. Thank you, everybody.
The hustle continues, and that's the new slogan. Get it how you live.
Yes, sir.